Shadow the Hedgehog has been a pivotal element to the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise and a highlight for me as a fan of the series. Throughout my channel's history, at numerous points I've made videos or topics dedicated to Shadow the Hedgehog because I really enjoyed this character, both in terms of how he was as an individual, but also what he usually brings with him into whatever he's been inserted to. But he had a very bad run in the 2010s, which I've also covered in numerous videos, and it was getting really depressing, to be honest, following his downwards trajectory. So it brings me a lot of excitement to see the news of Shadow in Sonic X Shadow Generations, because it seems like Sega are finally turning his character around and giving us more of that golden age Shadow the Hedgehog. It's not out yet, so I don't know if it's going to be fire, I don't know if the story's going to be good, but what I do know is this is more effort we've seen in the last, 11 plus years, and the game's not even out yet, so it's already a good sign. You've all probably seen the coverage from people that managed to play that early demo of the game at the Summer Games Fest, as have I, though I was not able to play it myself, and it showed even more positive aspects. The graphics, the detail, the budget seems to be there. Frontiers, love it or hate it, if you look at the game, it clearly didn't have much of a budget. It looked a lot like Forces, it was better, but it did look a lot like Forces. And there was still some shortcuts with some of the animations, the pop-in was atrocious, etc, etc. But here, this looks like an actual company at the top of their game releasing a new one. The level design we've seen, this is key by the way. Base Colony Arc Act 1 is completely 3D. There are no 2D sections in that mission. We know from the trailers there will be 2D sections later, but this is probably the first fully 3D level we've had in a Sonic game since Sonic Lost World, and if you don't want to count Sonic Lost World, dare I say Sonic 2006. Jeez man, it's been way too long. I'm so glad we're moving away from that time where everything done in the 2000s was considered cursed, despite the fact that it was good ways of trying to explore new ways to take the series. So with the level being fully 3D, having branching paths, some of which are just for flavour, but some of them do actually seem to make a difference, is a great highlight. Shadow's controls, I don't know how they feel, but the fact he has access to Chaos powers is something I'm pretty sure every Shadow fan has been saying Sega should do. When he came in Sonic Forces as DLC, I mean yeah, it was nice to have him, but he was just a Sonic clone. Not the way you should do it post SA2 when we've already seen how to take his character forward. Chaos Control, being able to stop time and using it for actual unique platforming sections is a nice touch. Chaos Spears being accessible, and then whatever other powers we're going to get throughout the game, also good. Love to see it. The fact that Shadow's hub world isn't a boring, bland white space, but instead an interesting Frontiers-styled open world space is very interesting. I wasn't even expecting this as part of the package, but hearing it's there is a good sign. Who knows what you'll be able to find within it. Apparently we're going to be speaking to characters here, so I'm interested to see which ones they pick. But moreover, I want to see if they've refined their very loose open world style compared to Frontiers, because those open worlds were big, but there were large areas of nothingness, and then as we all know, it was populated by jarring objects that were just copy-pasted all over the place, and it wasn't very nice to look at. The screenshots we've seen from Shadow's hub world look nice, to me at least. The levels are looking fire as well. We've got Radical Highway, which mixes a bit of Westopolis design. I don't know if that's an actual level or if it's just that one segment of Space Colony Arc Act 1. I don't really mind either way because the levels were a very nice length. Again, another thing that we haven't really gotten since the 2000s games. In fact, I think I remember at some point people were complaining about level lengths in some of the Sonic games, but seriously, you get more value for what you pay for when the levels aren't short. Now, of course, there are some really bad examples of just padding out the runtime and using the same level geometry over and over again. That's obviously not what I'm advocating for, but when you do it right, when there's a long level that's variant enough throughout the level length, that's how you get a solid gameplay experience. And the average completion time for Space Colony Arc Act 1 seems to be around 5 minutes. That's way better than the, 50-second Sonic Forces levels. Dark days those were. Kingdom Valley coming in as well, another interesting pick from 06. I'm hoping that Shadow's game gets one level somewhere. They could just say, oh, it's Space Colony Arc, sure, but come on guys, it's Shadow's second-ish game. You could go out and give him another level. I wouldn't mind seeing Cryptic Castle, that's a very unique stage. I wouldn't even mind seeing Sky Troops, to be honest. If you mix all its different versions into one, that could be an excellent level. Hopefully some Black Arm aliens would be there to fight as well. It's a bit sad we haven't seen any of them as enemies yet. And speaking of seeing enemies, the bosses. These look great. BioLizard's been improved so much more than what his original was, without adding too much unnecessary tact to it. But I really want to see what other bosses there are. Since this is only a small add-on to Generations, I don't even know what we should expect for a boss count. If I'm being realistic, I would imagine there would be 3+ Black Doom as a final boss. But who knows? If each area gets a boss, which I do doubt, but I guess we're going to cope today, then Kingdom Valley has got to bring in Methodus. Come on. It would be such a good opportunity to see him again with his popularity on the rise. He's a great villain with not many opportunities to come back, and moreover, this could be your way of bringing Methodus back to use later on. He's already connected to time travel nonsense. If he can come back in this game, lose to Shadow, but not die and escape somewhere, now, out in the present timeline, he is somewhere, gathering his strength, biding his time. And if you don't want to use Iblis anymore, that also means you don't need to worry about Methodus becoming Solaris again, because they both need to be present. Although I still think it would be cool to use Iblis down the line with Blaze having his power, even if you still don't make it a Solaris thing. But point is, Methodus, this is his chance. Don't waste it, Sega. Bring him back, and it'll be even better if he survives the game. I've heard a lot of people try and advocate for Infinite, and honestly, I don't want to see that. I'm okay with Infinite getting in if he is only after everybody else that's way more relevant. Black Doom, Methodus the Dark, Neo Metal Sonic, damn Shadow Android. Okay, I would take all of those characters first. Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog himself as a rival battle. All of these people need to be in the game before Infinite, because Infinite's fanbase is just projection or the concept. The execution that we got was terrible. His motivations were terrible. His connection to Shadow, rushed and terrible. They tried to set him up as Sonic's rival in the main game when the backstory and the DLC clearly show you his beef should have been with Shadow. Infinite is a train wreck, and he shouldn't knock out a different contender if he is going to get into the game. The last major thing I want to talk about really is the story. I'm hoping that this is going to bring more detailed stories back into Sonic. Frontiers is a good start. It was serious and they had stakes, but it was only one game. You want to see that continue multiple times to know it's truly back. And with Gerald's diary going to be out for the public, and with Shadow seemingly going to be tackling different aspects of his past and perhaps hinting at his future with these new powers, I've got some hope. Still, these were my thoughts of all the Shadow coverage we've been seeing lately. What about yours? Do you think this is a good sign for the future? The movies are coming out this year as well, which will have even more Shadow content. Hopefully, this keeps the franchise energized and delivering us more games per year, which, to be fair, they seem to be doing, which is another thing they did in the 2000s, by the way. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. This is the Mighty Emperor signing off.